to have this conversation, I get to introduce Sabrina Lamb. So if you are at the Go Global Conference, you might want to tune your ears, tap in, tune in, tap in, turn on to this fireside chat. Sabrina Lamb is the founder and CEO of Wakaeza, a Techstar-backed fintech platform that democratizes access to U.S. stocks and ETFs while providing multilingual financial education through partnerships with schools, cities, and financial institutions. Wakaeza equips learners from pre-K through college, advancing financial inclusion and working to close the racial wealth gap across the African diaspora. Sabrina is also the author of 6 best-selling books, including the NAACP Image Award, the NAACP Image Award nominated Do I Look Like an ATM? Her work has been featured nationally in magazines and in media, recognized by Congress, Essence Magazine, NBC, News, The Griot, and more. She is a sought-after voice at global conferences. Sabrina brings a unique perspective to financial empowerment, blending advocacy, education, and technology. Go Global Conference. Welcome Sabrina Lamb to the stage.
What's up, Go Global? How are you, madam?
Oh, wonderful.
Give a round of applause for Brandi Harvey. Yes.
Well, come on and have a seat. We're going to chat a little bit. I met Miss Claudine over while I was getting coffee this morning, and she talked about the huge delegation that has come from all around the world, including the UK. So I'm excited to have this conversation with you, Miss Lamb, because you have brought a unique voice into the fintech space. I mean, but everybody has an origin story. And so you didn't start off in fintech. You began your career in media and in radio. So how has that helped shape you as you journeyed on in the technology space?
Well, I was minding my own business. I was doing stand-up and writing and radio, and just always remember how powerful your words are, your behavior is, because what you write, what you say, it becomes a manifestation and happens. So for me, leading the creative life, still do. However, the whisper came. Always listen to the whispers. And the whisper said, not the group, the whisper, the whisper said, what if children, Sabrina, particularly those who look like you, could have access to culturally reflective financial education? I said, what? And so 6 months later, I launched a nonprofit organization called World of Money, the leading provider of immersive financial education from pre-K to college. Worldofmoney.org is the website. But then I was speaking globally in Nairobi, Kenya, and I was listening. The whispers come, your inspiration, the information you need to transform your life often comes from others. And I was listening to families and regulators, you name it, when I was in Nairobi on a speaking tour. And they were telling me what were the barriers for them to receive culturally reflective, language reflective, financial education, and access to investing. So I said, well, why can't you, not why can't, we have access to it in the United States, but what I understood and still understand, the barrier, Brandi, is not just knowing that you can do it, and it's not technology, it's often cultural. So that's how Wakaeza was born. It was born, it's a Swahili word called save and invest, and our goal, our determination is to turn on, Brandi, the economic lights throughout the African diaspora. That's who we serve, the entire African diaspora. It's not the black people here in America and in the Nigeria Nigerians over here. And that's why I love Go Global Conference. It's because for once, economically, let's really turn on our economic power. So how do you do it, Sabrina? Glad you asked, Brandi. Multilingual financial education. So we provide it in Zulu, and Twi, and Hausa, and Yoruba, et cetera, and Zulu. And so, where's my South African brother? He's not over there. Okay, there you are. And Zulu, we got you. Okay, we have you on teaching financial education for our South African brothers and access to investing in U.S. stocks and ETFs from your mobile phone.
I mean, I have to wonder, we're at a Go Global conference, we're learning all these different stories, but we're in this age of AI, and we were sitting in the back and you said, your AI told you need to log off, okay? Claude told Miss Sabrina that she needed to log off, all right? So when we think about AI and blockchain and digital wallets, how is that changing the landscape of financial inclusion when we look across the African diaspora?
If we're serious, because I hear these buzzwords, financial inclusion, a lot, but then when you look in terms of underestimated communities, and our communities are underestimated, they don't have access. I live around the corner from Little Senegal in Harlem, and when I talk to my cousins from Senegal, do you have a bake relationship here in America? And the answer is typically no. Why? Because they have not been invited in, okay? So financial behaviors, financial services is not one size fits all. There's a Western, and then there's Africa and the Caribbean, and our communities from those countries that live here. And so what's exciting about AI and blockchain and so forth, they have circumvented many financial institutions. So instead of paying high fees to send money home for school fees or what have you, they and then have to pay $100 to send 20. Yeah. That's not just. It's not economically equitable. What happens now is that they've circumvented that by sending remittances through stable coins, etc. So I'm so excited about the time that we're in, Brandi. Yeah. So excited, because even though some people express fear regarding AI and blockchain and everything, absolutely start with understanding it, but now is a real time where I'm seeing the flicker of lights all around the globe.
I mean, you said something that really sparked something, and I hope that everybody who's listening, you didn't say underserved communities, you said underestimated communities. And how many of us, whether we're in business, whether we're in technology, whatever field, education, how many of us have sat in spaces where we weren't underserved, we were underestimated? Exactly. And so I want you to lean into the conversation of why underestimated communities have been your focus for a number of years.
It came from the guidance that children have given me over the years. When I asked Joshua from Virginia, who attended my nonprofit organization, World of Money, for years, he first told me, and other children have said, that they don't believe that they deserve a financially secure life. And I said, but why? What's going on here? They said because they believe that security is something that people who don't look like them, that's what they do. That's not what we do. So I had to make a pivot as a financial educator to teach children that from history, that people of African descent have leveraged this powerful currency called money for generations. The majority of the black billionaires are on the continent of Africa. Yeah. So this idea that we're so-called poor, so we had to teach our children that this is aligned with your financial history as well.
You've you've been able to pivot multiple times in your career, and I think so many of us, we underestimate the power of the pivot and being able to reinvent ourselves. And so as a 6-time best-selling author, I mean, how many people have authored books in this space? How many people? I'm raising my hand because I also have authored a book. Hey, look at all the authors in the room, right? Yeah. But there's the power of the pivot in being able to reinvent yourself over the course of your career. And I want you to lean into that, because as a writer, there's a discipline and a leadership, stance that you've had to have. How has that helped you in this fintech space?
I approach my life with responding, again, I use that term, to the whispers. And I remember seeing, has everyone heard of the playwright August Wilson?
Yes.
August Wilson. I saw him in an interview one day, and he said, what was his writing process? He sits down and lets the characters tell him what to say. So you get out of your own way. But in terms of creating not only my books, and they're mostly satirical books, I still leverage satire and humor, but listening to getting out of your own intellectual way, because sometimes we will talk ourselves out of an opportunity. I can't do it because this, and this, and the stats say this, and this. I say terminate all that language and listen to the voices of opportunity. Yeah. We have been here before as people of African descent. In fact, it was worse. So the question is, what are you going to do now to create a life more than you have ever imagined, more than you have ever dreamed, more, not less, because this, that, and the other, okay? So that's how I leverage my power of writing. As entrepreneurs, we're creators, okay? We're creators. We create the books, as you have with your best-selling book. Whatever you dream of, entrepreneurially, economically, whatever it is, you're an entrepreneur that's created something that maybe your ancestors never even thought possible. How dare we let our intellect stand in the way?
Yeah. What's one part of your story that you've had to lean into in this season of your life?
Go fast. Keep going.
Why? Why go fast?
Because, and when we were talking, I was asking you about a win for you, and I just said I know that's going to happen before that.
And let me just go ahead and say it, because I'm gonna manifest it. Okay, in this space, I'm going to be the highest grossing podcast deal in history from a Black woman. 100 million. Give me the NFL deal, okay? Give me the NFL contract, okay? So let me go ahead and put it out there. Because you believe in the power of manifestation. You believe in the power of your words.
And we spend a lot of time blocking ourselves. Blocking ourselves. And when you say you will be, I say she is.
As a young girl say, clock it. Oh, okay, all right. They too old up in here, I guess. They ain't been on TikTok long enough. Okay.
But this is the time, no matter what your business is here today, is to go fast. Leverage the power of technology, whether that's your social media or your wine business or whatever. And the world is global. I'm so excited that you're here, that nothing can stop us but us. Yes.
When you look at the landscape of your business, and if there were no barriers, if there was nothing to stop you, right? Because there's nothing stopping you, what does your highest elevation in your business look like?
So we're already operating in 7 African countries, and then you add United States, and then we're going to turn on the lights for the Caribbean as well. And we're already, having amazing conversations with my cousins. I call everybody my cousins instead of customers. And so I just want to remove the highest elevation, Brandi. I want to remove this this angst that we have, legitimate angst, and I want to disrupt our economic history on this planet. When I'm hearing that less than 4% of black people in South Africa own land, well, why?
Own farmland.
Well, why? Own farmland. Why? And then it's the same here. Less than 6% of black people in the United States invest in U.S. stocks and ETFs. We have to turn on the economic lights and all the information. Wakiza, my company, is here to do that, because then we can eradicate the emotional vulnerability that we feel, that will no longer be economic victims, that will just go along to get along with regard with whatever financial product comes our way. This is the time to interrupt, to stop it.
Yeah.
That's what that elevation looks like for me.
Yeah. What is that piece of advice you would go back and give your 20-year-old self, your 30-year-old self, who was in this moment of transition or feeling like, I don't know what's next, I don't know what's coming around the corner? What piece of advice would you give your younger self?
I was like this when I was in my 20s.
I say the same thing, Sabrina. I've been that girl. Listen, I've been on wipe me down.
My friends would tell you that there she go again.
Is there one piece of advice? Yeah. Is there something you would have liked to have learned faster on this journey?
I think, attending Lincoln University, Pennsylvania, HBCU, I would not have majored in history because there's nobody looking for history majors. Who's looking for history majors? Okay, nobody. Okay. I would have majored in something that aligned with the world economic system. I would have done that. I probably, because when I was living here in Atlanta, I was here at the the happy hour, the after hour, and all that kind of. I would have suspended a lot of that. But I would have probably just leaned into knowing more from a technological, financial standpoint that I know now, which I had started earlier. But I don't look back now with any regret at all. Yeah. Because I've definitely caught up. Yeah. Absolutely. You've caught up. And everyone can too.
Yeah, you said you've caught up. When we look at the investing and we look at stocks and ETFs, is there a play that we all should be putting in our playbook?
Financial education, okay? No, because often when we think of investing, a lot of times people will say, well, you should invest in fill in the blank. Well, you should know your why. You should be able to know how to, and we teach that, how to research a company. But I would love to see an absolute increase, let's say 80% of black people investing in companies that they have researched. Yeah, that's what I would start with. Investing in companies that you've researched.
Okay, maybe I have a Robinhood account, maybe I got a Coinbase account. Is there a certain amount of money that I should be investing every single month into those platforms?
I would say at least $50, and then I would ask you to move that money over to Wakiza. Hello? Hello? Like, what's happening over here?
So if you're just investing $50 every single month, what does that ROI really look like?
Well, it depends on the company. It depends on the company's performance. Maybe it's encountering a scandal, and that's why the research is really, really fundamental as opposed to just investing in companies that we've heard about. Maybe those companies don't align with your personal values. Maybe they don't have any black people on the board. Whatever your priorities are. And then also, really important, investing is not gambling, people. We're not in and out, in and out, in and out. No.
Investing is not gambling.
No. Yeah. You're holding on to that company based upon your research. And then I would say, I also understand that everyone has different where you are financially. Just invest in terms of fractional. Here's the thing. You're already an investor. You're already an investor. Everything you have on, you're already an investor. In that company you purchased that item from, but now why not be a partial or whole share owner in that company? Because you've already supported it. You're already an investor. But as a consumer.
I love that. You're already an investor. What advice?
As a consumer.
And as a consumer, you're already an investor. I don't think we really look at it like that when we're out here making these one-off purchases, right? We're not looking like, I'm already an investor in this company, in this brand, in this idea. And so what advice would you give to Black women who are looking to get, or any person who's looking to get invested in the fintech space?
Please repeat that.
What advice would you give to any person who's looking to be involved in the fintech space?
To have their own fintech company? Understand what your why is. Maybe a fintech space, let's say the fintech is your space. What pain point is your potential customers experiencing? Okay, and why you to solve that problem? Because maybe the you could better solve another type of company, but say it is you. But then what particular pain point? Because there's different types of fintech. Maybe you're B2C, maybe you're B2B2C, or maybe you're B2B or B2G. Determine what pain point can you solve. But here's another opportunity, is that investors are often looking to invest in fintechs because they're asset light. They're not brick and mortar. You just download the app, so there's an opportunity here. But make sure you start with knowing your why and why you can solve that problem for millions of potential customers. I call them cousins.
Yeah, millions of your cousins. Yeah. We have 6 minutes left. Is there a question from the audience for Sabrina? Any questions? Okay, this is a very smart space. Everybody has all the answers. I love that. I love when everybody has all the answers. No questions are necessary. I recently had Elliot Connie on my show. He just filmed my show. He's a licensed psychotherapist. And one of his books is Ask Better Questions, Change Your Future. And I think that often in life, we sit in spaces and rooms that give us major opportunities, but we fail to ask the right questions. And so what questions have you had to ask along your journey to sit in the seat that you sit in right now?
Why am I purchasing that new purse or that new bag? What emotional pain am I feeling right now? Why am I buying more Kit Kat chocolate bars? What is going on that I'm purchasing that? And I know when I'm purchasing that, it's to alleviate what anxiety I'm feeling. And so often when I look at money, which is one of the most powerful currencies on the planet besides love or your religion or spiritual practice, is that we have not leveraged as African people our collective economic power because we may not believe we deserve it.
Yeah.
So if you don't believe that you deserve to have financial security, if your life doesn't matter, because I hear a lot of slogans, God bless the child, God is on, Black Lives Matter. Well, if Black lives really matter, then y'all need to have some more money in your pocketbook. Except you, sir. I need to see that. And then when I look at Liberia, for example, Liberia and other African countries send billions of dollars home. This every year, $86 billion home that the diaspora sends to Liberia.
Wow.
What if the Black community here in the United States, Brandi, sent $86 billion to our own communities? Right here, that we chose a school, a business, or whatever, that we're sending $10, $20 a month collectively to that. When we leverage that opportunity, then all the lights will come on, and we don't need permission or acceptance by anybody else outside of ourselves.
Yeah.
We have that power that when we really believe that our life has meaning, that we will move from just being consumers to being savers, because we know that our life matters, to being investors, entrepreneurs, and that really important piece, philanthropists.
Yeah.
Send money to a school. Send boxes of pencils to a school that serves children or whomever in your community. Let's do what our brothers and sisters, our cousins from the African African diaspora sending billions per country home. Let's do that reinvestment ourselves here in America.
Yeah, we have everything we need in our communities. As we close out this interview, I end all of my conversations in this way. One word you are committed to in this season of your life. One word you are committed to in this season of your life.
Listen.
Ooh, why?
Because I'm loving what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
What I'm hearing from Pray God Williams in Tanzania, Miss Sabrina, when I'm hearing from Oakland and when I'm hearing from Kenya, from my cousins that are using the Wakeza app, and the joy that they feel that finally someone sees them, hears them, respects their culture, and believes that they too can move towards their own economic liberty. Listen.
Their own economic liberty. Listen, I believe we have one question. Now, you done waited till we got 1 minute left on this clock. So I'm going to have you ask this question, and it ends in a question mark. That is how questions end. All right?
Okay, yeah, so just getting straight to it, I lead the Atlanta Black Chamber's Black Beauty Industry Initiative. One of our pillars is financial. So what I do know that in our space, we receive cash, but how do we help the industry as a whole in changing that mindset, so that way they can see money different, that way they can look into investing their money different, and that way we can evolve the beauty industry.
Very important question. Thank you for that. It's really critical. Well, number one, cash almost don't exist anymore. Don't really exist, and that started over a decade ago. But it leads with the education, particularly to business owners, how they can be more secure by leveraging technology. And so they're not going to just do it. Okay, maybe that's part of the programming, with the Atlanta Black Chamber. But it starts with, these are the benefits in you moving from a cash-based business to electronically, because it just solves so many problems for Black-owned. I really support that. Not just Black-owned, but anybody.
Sabrina Lamb, thank you so much for sharing your story.
And thank you, Brandi Harvey.
Your insight with the Go Global Conference. I'm your girl, Brandi Harvey. Until next time, eat well, give a damn, move your body every single day. Peace. Thank you.
Want to grow your business? Join the Caribbean Focus TV directory, absolutely free. Sign up in minutes and get your business seen by thousands across the Caribbean community. Create your profile, upload your logo, add your services, and hit submit. It's that easy. Once you're listed, your business is ready to connect with new customers and opportunities. Sign up free today at CaribbeanFocus.tv. Free. Easy. Powerful.